We all know the benefits of eating superfoods. Well, what if we had products for our hair that were loaded with superfoods? Well, guess what? I have found them. Yep, I've been using clean, simple, kitchen-crafted recipes from Hair Food and have seen amazing results. They have a wide range of products, but I started with their shampoos and conditioners, and they are all incredible. They have tea tree and lavender, manuka honey and apricot, coconut milk and chai spice, just to name a few. And yes, they all smell as good as they sound. My hair feels so much better. It feels healthier and softer with far less dry and split ends. And why wouldn't it feel healthier? I'm feeding it good, healthy food. These products are also free of sulfates, parabens, and dyes, because let's face it, your hair does not want to eat that stuff. The best part is the price. The products are so affordable. Check them out for yourself at Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, Walmart, or Amazon. Your hair will thank you. Hi, I'm Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. I am Michelle Chalfant. I am here with you today. We are at podcast number 285. And yes, indeed, you might have seen a familiar name for the title. I am sitting today with my son, Blake Chalfant. We're talking all about the gift of authentic communication. I want to point out right away, this is not a show about mothers and their children. It has nothing to do with that today. This show is for you if you would like to hear more about how having authentic communication can change your relationship with another human being, how the ego keeps us stuck in our defenses, how trying to be right all the time can kill a connection with another human being. We're going to talk about how to create safety in relationships. So if you're a human listening to this today and you want to improve your relationship with another human, this show is for you. Just saying, not just for kids, for any human. So Blake and I, if you remember, I shared with you a few weeks ago, I went to Portland to visit him a few weeks ago. He was moving into his new place. And a situation came up with the two of us. And he brought it to my attention. And we had a discussion about it. How it was handled was so healthy and so from the adult chair. You know me, if you know me from any of my past shows, once in a while, I'll pull out my phone and I'm like, hold on, this is phenomenal. Can we please record this? And that's exactly what happened. So we recorded our conversation about how an issue was handled. And you're going to hear how healthy adults do authentic communication. And that you're going to learn a lot. I give you some tools. I give you some tips on how you can improve your own relationship. Plural relationships. But it's a great show with a lot of vulnerability. And you're going to, if you remember the show from just a couple of weeks ago when I talked about vulnerability, there's a lot of that in today's show. But it is a show for anyone wanting to improve relationships with any other human being. And I also want to say one more thing before we jump in. Blake and I did not have the most unbelievable relationship our whole lives. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, well, that's Michelle's son. So of course he's healthy and he's so ultra healthy. This is new for us over the last few years. I would say the last probably maybe a year and a half to 2 years. We've gotten better and better. The one thing I hear from so many parents all the time is, how do I help my kids live in their adult chair? How do I build healthy relationships? I'm going to say this again. You live in yours. Live in your adult chair, regardless of what's going on with your kids. But what this means is, you live with presence. You don't judge. You don't defend. You own your stuff. You apologize to your kids if that needs to happen. You set healthy boundaries with your kids. You listen to their side of the story. Then you set the boundary. You live in your adult so that they can then learn how to live in theirs. And again, I don't take credit for this kid being this great kid. Of course, I think he's a really great kid, but he's done a lot of his own work, and I'm really proud of him. And you're going to hear this in today's episode. So please, parents, this is never, ever, ever an opportunity to judge yourself. Don't do that. That doesn't help anybody, but I do want you to start thinking about how you can live more and more in your adult chair. That's how I live my life every day. How can I be more in my healthy adult? It's just living in the healthiest version of ourselves. So anyway, think you're going to love this show. It was such a beautiful show with him. I do want to say to you guys, don't forget, November 1st, we kick off the 30-day journaling challenge. It's absolutely free. The holidays bring about a lot of stress, anxiety, depression. I mean, it's a range of emotions that come up with all of us. It can be a very hard time for a lot of people, but at the minimum, you have stress. This is why I wanted the 30-day journaling challenge to happen every November. I think this is our 4th or 5th year we're doing this now. You get a journaling prompt every single day in your inbox. It's brand new. I write new ones every single year, but they're all designed to help you stay connected to yourselves. And they're all designed to help you process emotions, find better boundaries, find more self-love, build your self-worth, et cetera, et cetera. It's free. Did I mention that? Free. Because I love you guys. And I want to give you as much as I can to help you to stay connected to yourselves and to be the healthiest adults you can be. So please head over to theadultchair.com/30 days. That's number 30 days. And you can sign up and get your first journaling prompt on November 1st. Okay, here we go with my son, Blake Chalfant. Hey guys, I am so excited and just honored to be here with my son today, Blake Chalfant, as we sit here and discuss. Really, there's a power and there's a gift in authentic communication. And he and I just had the most incredible conversation. And I wanted to share with you what happened in hopes that you too can apply this into your own life and change some of your most precious relationships. So here we are together. Without further ado, here is my son, Blake Chalfant.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to be with you. It's been something that we've been wanting to do for such a long time. And I'd love the spur of the moment of this podcast and just like something so amazing happened. And now we get to talk about it. So happy to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you. I actually just said to him, we have to record this right now.
Yeah, I actually didn't even want to record it right now. I wanted to do my little morning routine and then record it, but something was telling me that we had to just sit down and go for it.
Exactly. I was like, the energy's here. We have to record this right now. He's like, well, let me meditate first and do a little yoga. And I'm like, no, we'll do that after. So we just had the most beautiful experience. And I was brought to tears. And I might cry again because it was so cool. And I just think that I really wanted to talk about this because you may not call it this, Blake, but I know that we are practicing living in our highest version of self, really, in this family. We are practicing the adult chair, really, is what we do. And I don't know that you would call it that, but that's what we're doing. And I wanted to share this today because I think experiences like this really will help others. So let's talk about really what happened. So Blake just got up and he came downstairs. And tell me what happened, Blake. So you walked in.
Yeah, so I actually had to apologize to my mom because last night we had gotten in, not even an argument. We were talking about how sugar affects the body. And I was saying that it doesn't matter whether it's sugar or stevia, anything. And she disagreed. Well, that kind of triggered part of my ego. And I felt like I was really needing to defend myself and throwing facts at her. And a few minutes after we finished talking, I already felt diseased by it. Internally, I knew that, that didn't feel right. That was me trying to defend something, but I didn't actually say anything. Felt like it might have been a little embarrassing to say that in front of the whole family and just do that ego death then. But this morning I came downstairs and I just apologized for it. I said it didn't feel right. That wasn't truly me. That was just one of my egoic selves. I was really trying to defend myself, and I'm sorry that did not feel right.
And here's the interesting part of this whole story is that we actually had this conversation in the grocery store. We were talking about, again, does stevia affect the blood sugar levels as much as sugar? And I feel like it doesn't. Anyway, it was not an argument. I want everyone to hear this. Blake and I were not in an argument whatsoever. In fact, I did not even give it a second thought. Like when you and I were talking about it in the grocery store, I thought, whatever, we can agree to disagree and it's no big deal because I really believe that stevia is okay for you. And I let it go. So then this morning he comes downstairs with this beautiful, really, again, these are things we apply in the adult chair. So these beautiful things happened. He took responsibility. He owned something and you said it didn't feel right how it landed on you. And then you spoke up with this lovely apology. You're like, I'm so sorry that I said that. It didn't feel good to me in the moment. And what did you say? You did talk a little bit about how maybe the ego part was like, no, don't say anything now. Or what did you say? It was so
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, my ego just was holding on for dear life. It didn't, I mean, as soon as I say I'm sorry, I'm admitting that, I was in the wrong. I was kind of just acting not from my, I guess, adult chair self.
Yeah.
And to my ego, that's extremely threatening. And so I guess I wasn't ready for that to die yet last night. And so this morning it came down and, I just put myself in the spot and really felt authentic with you. And like, it feels like it really deepened our connection even more.
Yeah, I love that. Something I want to talk about a little bit more is the ego and this ego death. And you're so right that the reason we don't take ownership for our part or take responsibility is because there's again, that part of us that we would call the ego that says, don't do that. Don't apologize. You're right. And I think you even said that you wanted to be right. Yeah. Remember? You're like,
yeah. One thing that's really coming through to me is like how the majority of our population lives with the identity that like, I am right, that I am in the right, I'm doing something right. And so to the ego, if I am going to apologize to you about something that didn't feel right for me, then the ego automatically puts me in the category of I am wrong. So it's either I am right or I am wrong. Yeah. If I don't apologize to you, then I can still say that I'm right inside. But as soon as I apologize to you, my ego might go, I am wrong, versus throwing both of those out the door and just saying, I am authentic. I am in healthy relation with you.
Yeah, I love that. And what's so crazy that we forget is that the ego is the part of us that creates separation. So we cling to that part of us, which I call that's the ego part of us is what comes from that adolescent chair, you guys. It's the part of us that, again, wants to be right. You can't be right and have a deep connection with other human beings or deep connections with other human beings. So hear me again. You cannot sit in the seat of the adolescent chair saying, well, I'm going to be right all the time. And also, let me have a deep, intimate, loving connection with you. Let me have a deep emotional connection with you. Yeah. You cannot have both. So when he admitted this to me, I started to cry and I said, oh my God, this is so freaking beautiful that we are able to have a relationship like this. It made me feel even closer to him. How did you feel the way that I received? I was in tears.
You received it beautifully, and it, obviously came into this even deeper conversation just about authentic communication in general. Yeah, it really just the way you received it was beautiful, and I think it also comes back to, you could have kind of said like thanks, and that would have been that, and it still would have felt so good for me, because I think it comes back to like, what are you putting the stakes on what you're saying? Is it about how they respond to you, or is it about how you are acting? Yes. And so when you're your own superhero of your story, when you're the own hero of your story, like it doesn't matter what other people are saying. It matters how you're showing up for them. And so just in me busting my ego and really being authentic for myself, that was half of the bliss. The way you responded was beautifully, but I could have walked away with just the way that I showed up for myself. And like, that is just so amazing for me.
I love that. You walked away and had your own bliss because you were able to step into that apology and that ownership.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Like,
I mean, it's just amazing for those of you that, know anything about the masculine and feminine energies. For me, this is like a journey that I'm on right now, which is, allowing my masculine energy to put the sword down and allow this beautiful feminine energy to come through, which for me shows up in this beautiful expressiveness.
mm-hmm.
And what I want to go through with authentic communication is not only this side of apologizing, really being able to step into the light when you feel that you maybe acted up,
Mm-hmm.
but also truly being able to express your love and gratitude for people. And so it's like, yes, I can look at you in the eyes and say that I did something wrong and that we're all on the same team, but I can also look in you the eyes and tell you how much I truly love you and I'm truly grateful for you. And to me, that is just like, it feels good to see other people's faces light up, but it also just feels like absolutely amazing in my heart to do that.
Yeah, so it fills you up when you have that experience. That's what I think there's a miss because the ego tricks us, and it'll say, "Don't admit you're wrong. Don't do this. Don't do this." And in the end, God, it just feels so good, right?
Yeah. The ego will hold on until that that blissful heart comes through, and then the ego's totally gone because you feel it and it's there and it's true.
Yeah, I love that. So I wanted to, we have a couple other ideas for you guys too, or a few other things I want to share. But when we talk about authentic communication is all like, there's not only a gift, hold on, I'm stumbling. There's not only a gift in how you are speaking something in the owning of it, but also in the receiving. Because I could have said to you, hey, yeah, you know what? You were a jerk. I didn't even realize that, Blake. I think I missed that. And you're such a jerk. And why do you do that with me? I didn't do that with him. And so I sat with presence from my adult chair and I listened to what you said fully, which I call masterful listening. And I sat with presence and I said, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your reality with me. I really appreciate it. That really means a lot to me. So it's not about who wins. It's not about the fact that Stevia, I was right or he was right. It doesn't matter. But this experience created such a deep connection between us. The other thing is when we have communication like this, and remember, it's about how we're speaking and how we're receiving, it creates safety, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I like to go kind of the direction on the nervous system level too. Because when you have that safety, your social nervous system feels so regulated and so safe. It allows your breath to slow down, allows your heart rate to slow down, and it really allows you to just be present inside of your body and allows you to show up in the world inside of your body and coming from who you truly are. So yeah, do you have anything to say about that?
No, just that I think that in relationships, so much of the time we feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Even in the same family. I know me growing up, I didn't really feel safe that I could express how I felt because I was talked out of how I felt. Like I might have said, I remember saying to my dad things like about my uncle that was not a great influence in anyone's life in our family. But I would say things to him like, can you stop him from coming over? Or, why do you allow him to treat mom like that? Or, I would speak up and share my reality. And I was met with, Michelle, you're the one with the temper. It was like this deflection. Like he could not hear that his twin brother was not a great guy. So it wasn't safe. And my dad was never mean about it, but he didn't acknowledge it. So whether we agree with another person that's communicating with us or setting a boundary with us, how we receive that and express back is so key to deepening that relationship and creating safety in that relationship. So when your kid comes up to you, when your whomever comes up to you and says something like, hey, I didn't like when you did that, or hey, I noticed this, be very, very mindful of how you're receiving that. Because that then goes on to the other point I want to say, not only creates safety, it relaxes, like you said, our nervous system, and we regulate with that person. We're also forming secure attachment, bonding with that other person.
Yeah.
But also it just creates a very deep connection. And every single human being on the planet, we long for belonging and deep connection. So this is how we do it. We long for connection with other. So if we keep defending ourselves, we ain't going to get it. That's not how you get deep connection.
Yeah, and it's coming back to this surrender of the ego on the receiving part too, because I could have apologized to you this morning, and as I'm apologizing, in your head, you could have been like, oh God, he's apologizing to me, and now I have to receive this. And you might still be triggered inside of your ego, and you might want to snap right back. So it takes a certain level of surrender on your end too, to really be able to be like, oh, thank you. Like, I love you. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's this like beautiful dance between, the whoever's talking and the receiver, of both kind of surrendering and coming back to this place of love where they're on the same team.
Yes.
Which can be like one of the most beautiful things. I'm really hearing some people saying like, well, I don't have people that can receive this safely on their end. I think it comes back to, at some level, you probably have one person that you might feel safe with. Mm-hmm. And so really going back to that, but then also the people that you don't feel safe with. Mm-hmm. I think being really strong in who you are and how you show up for them, actually even if they aren't receiving it beautifully, every time that you show up in that different way for them, it's giving them a mirror for themselves. And every single time they might be coming closer and closer and closer to this loving place. And you are just like, you're being the bridge for authentic relationships for them, because they probably have been wounded. They don't have the love to do that, and they don't know how to authentically relate.
Absolutely. It's such a great point. I mean, we want to teach others how to do this. And the way that we teach others how to do this is to be it first. We have to live it first. We show up as a model. This is how you do healthy adult. Like, this is how I do it. I'm going to show up like this. And I think too, if we can remember that if someone comes back at you and they defend if you set a boundary, and they defend if you're taking responsibility, or they want to argue with you, remember, it's the part of them. It's their ego. It's not good or bad. It just is the ego, and it doesn't know any better. It just doesn't know any better. It's unconscious. We automatically defend as humans unless we have awareness. So just if you can keep that in the back of your mind, if it doesn't quote unquote work, if you're speaking with another human being about this, it's okay.
Yeah. One thing I want to add on that too is, depending on the person in your life that you don't feel safe around and that you've always tried to open up to, that kind of bashes you down, think about the way that they're responding, and then think about the way that you have responded. There's probably a habit in the past of this. Mm-hmm. And so if they are responding with this really big, angry, fearful, sympathetic response to you, and in the past, you have always gone straight to this kind of putting your head down, parasympathetic kind of immobilization response.
Yeah.
You have actually formed a habit in their own nervous system, whoever it is, to expect that when they respond in a certain way, that you're going to respond in a certain way. So he thinks, oh, I'm going to get angry, and then they're just going to fawn away, and that's going to be that. So when they do that, you can actually, turn the tables, and you can respond with a sympathetic response, but it can be extremely healthy. And you can really be like, you know what? That didn't feel good. I don't appreciate that, and I will not allow you to respond like this. I love you, and I am trying to authentically relate with you and come closer to you. And so that is not okay. And what that does is it really shocks their nervous system, and it allows them to be like, wait a second, they didn't respond in the same way that they always respond. What's going on? And it really allows this like deep contemplation. So I really encourage you to think about that.
That's so profound. I love what you just said, because really it's about our energy. How are we showing up? Are we showing up with presence? Are we receiving them with presence and solid in who we are? I love the words that you just used. Like, you set a boundary. Like, if someone comes at us when we're trying to be authentic with them, and not trying to be, when we are being authentic with our words, and someone comes back at us and gets angry, and we show up present. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. I think it's like,
it changes the dance between you and that other person, right?
I think some people think that, love has to be this soft, sweet energy. Love can be big and love can be stern.
Yep.
It's the base layer of how you act. And so when someone is mistreating you and you're trying to come closer to them and love them, you can respond in a loving way, but a loving way that's extremely stern. You don't have to be so soft. You can say, I love you so much, but this is not okay. And this is a boundary I am setting. So I think it comes back to this, just the container of everything you do being from love.
Yeah, I like that. Love with boundaries really is what this is all about. Because when people think of love, sometimes they think of, well, people can push me around or not push me around in a physical way ever, but like, oh, I'll just take it or whatever. That's not love, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Say a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, I think I think a little bit about that is kind of bypassing too.
Yeah.
It's really bypassing what your nervous system needs, in my opinion. I think that comes back to a little bit of spiritual bypassing people do with it's all love. Like, I love you.
Yeah. So I'm going to allow this.
So I'm going to allow this, but I love you. Yeah. Versus like your body truly wants you to come out and be strong for yourself and really show up for really be embodied in who you are and show up for that. But I think some people have this idea that you can either love someone or you can like actually set healthy boundaries for yourself, but they can't be both, which is not true.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think about I've worked with some parents over the years, and sometimes they'll say, well, my kid isn't nice to me, or not even kids, honestly, my mother is really kind of not nice to me the way she talks to me, or my husband isn't nice to me, or my wife, whatever it is. And we just take it. It's like, well, I love them. It's okay. Just let it go. We let it go. We surrender. No, that's letting people walk on you. So I like that you talked about how it feels. Pay attention to your body. What's going on in the nervous system? What's your body? How is your body reacting to this person and how they're speaking to you? And I think so many humans, we are not embodied enough to even know, oh my God, I didn't even know that, gosh, my whole body's tight right now because of how so-and-so is speaking with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We got to pay attention to that nervous system response, because I realized in my own life, like, oh my God, I remember the more and more I learned how to get embodied and put my energy in my body and get grounded. I was like, holy crap, I've been anxious all these years. I didn't even know. I had no idea that I was able to work through that and work on that. And now I can tell immediately, like, boom, I'm anxious because my body tells me so. So this is important with healthy communication. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Pay attention to how your nervous system is responding, because it's your job to keep yourself safe, and it's your job to keep yourself embodied. And if we rely on other people outside of ourselves to keep us safe and keep us embodied, we need to set those boundaries. We need to pay attention. We need to have a daily practice that keeps us really in, so we can pay attention and have this authentic communication.
Yeah. What I'm really hearing is how hard it is to be human sometimes.
I say that all the time. It sure is.
And yeah, this is authentic communication is a journey that I've been on for a while, and I feel like I'm just now making some big progress with it. And so I think for some of you listening that maybe have never authentically communicated, it can be really hard, but it can be one of the most beautiful things ever, honestly. And so it might mean that you need to meditate for an hour just so that you can walk up to someone and say, I'm sorry, I love you. Mm-hmm. But it's just taking steps towards it. And it's just this beautiful journey. And I promise it gets easier every time.
I think about the fear, people, I've worked with people who have said, I'm just really afraid to speak up for myself. I'm really afraid. I don't want to say it. I don't want to hurt their feelings. What do you say about that to someone that says, I'm just afraid. I don't want to say it.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to is the result of this communication with someone how they respond to me. If they say, oh, thank you, I love you, or is it what I truly need? And so when you're really embodied in who you are, what your body needs, what your spirit needs, everything else kind of goes away. But when you're really in touch with that, it's not like your body ever needs you to go out and hurt someone. It just needs you to take care of yourself. I think when you said someone that's just always worried about hurting someone else, always worried about someone else, what that really says to me is like, this person maybe has some stuff to work on with, are you taking care of yourself, or is everything you're doing trying to take care of other people? Yeah, for sure. As you know, I know a little bit about codependency. Yeah, Blake. It's a lot of, recently I came across this person who was applying for a job where they were going to be working at a float center as one of the front desk people. And, to work there, you have to do some floats because you want to know what these people are going through and how to talk through it after.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is so weird to me because I've never done anything for myself this long. Like they literally sat in a float for 30 minutes. Like I always take care of other people. I've never really even taken 30 minutes to just be alone with myself and check in with me. And I think that's something that a lot of people could use more of, is really taking care of themselves and checking in with what they need.
Yeah, I think so many humans, we're just not great at that. We are definitely, and I speak from my codependency lens, as you know quite well, Blake. Really putting other people first and my own needs. Like what needs? You mean I have needs? Like I know your needs and I know everyone else's needs. So it's really a journey to take the focus off of other and put it on self. And it's not selfish. It's so self-loving.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, oh, but I'm so happy that, they're getting to do that now.
Yeah. But it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable, etc.
Yeah.
So
one thing that I really wanted to add was this. I think a lot of people are stuck in this illusion that, to be a healthy, good person, you have to take care of other people, do things for other people.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are caught in that and not taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
And a huge part of this whole thing about authentic communication, for it to actually work, it has to start with the individual, how they can show up for themselves. Mm-hmm. I like to use the metaphor, getting vertical before you can go horizontal. And so you are taking care of all of your needs, so then you can show up in the world for everyone else different. But if you are in an extremely agitated state and not in a good place, and someone is trying to authentically communicate with you, you might just snap back at them. See, that would be, you're not ready to show up for other people. And so it takes a certain level of responsibility for you to say to yourself or whoever you're around, hey, I really need a moment by myself. I really need to check in. And it's important that everyone has these self-regulation exercises. So, you can step out for 5 minutes, do a quick breathing and grounding exercise, come back in and really listen to someone. Yeah. But it's like everyone needs to be able to self-regulate when they need to.
Yeah. That's such a great point too. So what are the final, takeaways about this the gift really of authentic communication? But people might still be thinking, well, wait, how do I do it? How do I do this? But I hear what we've talked about so far, which is really, you have to be embodied. You have to speak your truth, whether it's a boundary or just a statement like you admitted to something with an apology. But it's just sharing your reality, really. I'm just going to share with you my reality and my experience. So that's the part of the speaker, that would speak this in an authentic way. And then there's, of course, the receiver that has just as big a responsibility as far as how they're receiving. How does it land? Are you defending? Are you listening? You don't have to agree with what that person is saying, but you just listen and thank them and then go on. It doesn't mean you don't, it also could mean that you have a conversation about it. But I think the key is, with authentic communication, you want to make sure the speaker, the person speaking to you, is heard. And when we go into a defensive place, they're not heard. When we go into a defense, when we change the subject, when we make it about ourselves, when we say, oh, me too, that happened to me, let me tell you about it, blah, 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 it takes that focus off of them, this beautiful person that's speaking their reality and their truth. So anything you want to add to those little takeaways?
Yeah, I think it takes a certain level of being able to understand that, okay, this is who my ego is. This is really triggering my ego. But then it takes a level of being able to put your sword down and really just be like, oh, I don't want to apologize, but I'm sorry. And I love you. And that's for the receiving and the person who's apologizing. Yeah. It really just takes a certain level of surrender. And it's really scary sometimes, but I promise you there is so much light on the end of that tunnel. Yeah. And I think authentic communicating is something where humans are so lost in. Yeah. And it's very empowering, because just at the individual level, just by you doing your work, just by you starting to be this amazing mirror for other people of how you can be, we're all being way showers in this world. And so I so encourage you guys to do this, because it's really, this is what's going to change the world.
Ooh, I love it. I think you're absolutely right about that. It'll really bring connection to this world, which we all desperately need. This was so good. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for.
thank you. I'm so happy we got to talk about this.
I
is
know.
something I'm very passionate about.
Aw, thanks, babe. I love you. Thanks for being here.
Love you too.
All right, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed that show. It just warms my heart to listen to that show. Let me tell you, I'm proud of that kid, but really, I love that he's really learning so much about his adult, but I love that we were able to give you guys some ideas on healthy connection, secure attachment. That's what this show is about. Creating safety in relationships, helping people to bond. I hope we gave you some great examples and you like them today. Do not forget, 30-day journaling challenge starts November 1st. You can sign up at theadultchair.com/30. That's 30 days, theadultchair.com/30 days. That's all I've got for you guys. I will see you seated right here next week in the Adult Chair